G'day all. I've come up with a script. Never use a script. It drives me insane having to read off things or whatever, but I want points. So I try to come up with 10 easy ways or easy points to identify if your stamp collection is worth anything, but I could only come up with 9. And it's a bit of a stretch, but I think these are fairly good at identifying a collection. So what I'm talking about is if you get left a collection, these points, if you follow them, you'll be able to tell straight away if you should be, putting this into an auction house, or you should just be selling it on eBay, or you could just donate it to some kid down the street. So hopefully this works out. Pick me up if some of the more experienced people, don't believe in what I say. Let me know. I am happy to learn, and I've got some great subscribers out there educating me every day on anything I present. Thank you so much for that, because that's how hobby grows, and this is how we learn, by other people. So instead of me saying you have to sit here and watch the entire video to learn all these points, I'll quickly go through these points now, and then I'll give examples. So if you're more experienced and I read the points, you don't need to see the examples. But if you're new and you've been left a stamp collection and you're not quite sure what I'm saying, then keep watching the video and you can see my examples. All right. So the 9 quick and easy points in identifying if your stamp collection is worth anything. Point 1, type of album the stamps are stored in and displayed. So basically what I'll show you next is, are they cheap Chinese albums? And I'll show you what they look like, or are they expensive stamp albums, right? So straight away, by looking at that, you can sort of judge fairly quickly if the stamps are worth anything. Toning throughout the stamp collection. So those Chinese albums, which I'll show you in a second, they are very acceptable to toning. They've got too much acid in the paper and they'll start going yellow, they'll affect your stamps, ruin the whole lot. So straight away, if there's the album, a Chinese album, and it's got toning through it, you're going to have a pretty dud collection straight away. And if you have a look at any of the auction videos I've shown over the last 6-7 weeks, you'll see those, and everyone's commented going, these are not worth that much. Next things are stamps are not mixed together, so there's no rhyme and reason. You get these kids albums and there's Germany stamps, Australian stamps, American stamps, all higgledy-piggledy all the way through the album. So straight away there's no rhyme or reason here. They're not ordered by year, country per page, or theme. So there's no dogs and cats and things like that. So straight away you're thinking kids collection. 4, are there any early stamps present, pre-decimal? That'll give you a hint that that person has spent some time getting the old stamps, because a lot of decimal stamps, honestly, are only worth, if they're mint, they're worth what they are mint, and you may as well use them for postage. Because if you sell them, you'll get less than what you paid for them mint. So yeah, straight away, look for the pre-decimal and high values. Good condition. So look at the stamps and go, are all the perforations, so all the little nodules on the top, they're all there on all these good old stamps? Are they well centered? Are they not torn? They haven't got lost corners. So a lot of kids' collection, they've lost corners, they're ripped, they're very low class stamps throughout. High values present. So a lot of the time when you collect stamps, you get big bags, you put them all in, but very low denomination. Basically anything that you send a normal envelope, they're what you'll find in a lot of kids collections and a lot of basic collections. My collections, and quite a few subscribers here, they got all the high values, all those missing high value stamps that are worth a lot of money in their collection. And what you want to do is look at the pre-decimal stuff, the older stuff, and see if all those high values are there. Good cancels. I just added that in because I love cancels. So if there's a normal stamp and then the same stamp with a beautiful cancel in there, or a lot of the stamps have got really nice cancels, they may be worth something to somebody. And I'll show you what they look like. Annotation next to stamps with references. So as you'll see in a lot of my catalogues, I've annotated little pieces of paper next to stamps saying what they are, the year, the reference from the catalogue, and how much they're worth. So straight away you think, well, someone spent a lot of time here working this through. They must be worth some money. And if you go through and add all those values up and you divide it by 5, that's a very good price you could get from a dealer. What's that? The last one, a lot of the same stamps with annotations which look like shades, watermarks or varieties. So I did a video the other day of all KGVs, and we'll go through it again. And there was all the same stamp, but had annotations explaining things were wrong with those stamps, or the little different varieties, or the different watermarks. That is a hint that they're worth something. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you examples of what I'm talking about to help you sort of verify what your collection's worth. Hang in there. All right, we've got the first point, which is a type of album that's used. Now this is a Chinese album. It's a lot of them, this is how they come. This is a kid's album. It's mine when I was a kid, and then I gave it to my daughter. But you'll see that that's what they look like. And it's all the stamps are higgledy-piggledy all over the place. Here's another type of Chinese album. You'll see that the see this, how all the pages are, a bit of writing in there. Another sort of Chinese album, another one again. And then you'll see a good album. So someone has spent some money on this, and this is a very nice album. This is a Lighthouse album, and you can see that it's all really made very nicely. Very beautiful paper being used. And you can even tell, like here, like how this has all been reinforced with woven sort of tape. It's all been stitched. You've got a beautiful sheet here and beautiful black backing paper. It's not white. Black is always best to show stamps. Well, there's people who believe both ways, but I like black. But very well presented. And then the other beautiful album that you can get, and it's one of these, and it will come with a sleeve. So this is the sleeve that the album goes into. I'll show you that when I'm at the end. But here, this again is Lighthouse, German album. And these open up and you can add sheets in. So these sheets you pay for each. And they're usually about $1 a sheet. And see that? The album's beautiful. And then what happens is that will slip in there. So if you've got 10 or 20 of these albums with slipcases, straight away, that's worth a lot of money, because these albums, there's like $80 for the slipcase and the album. So 10 of those is $800. And then the sheets are $1 each. If there's 50 sheets in there, it's $50. So straight away, you've got $130 per case and sheets. So $1,300 for 10 of them. So that's where you're going to make a lot of your money anyway. So that's what you look for. Point 2, what are we looking for now? So we're going to look for toning. Now, I did have one of these Chinese albums with a lot of toning, but I got rid of it. So we'll just see if anything is growing in these ones. And I think you can see a little bit of discoloration along here. It's the yellowing. You can see it all through here. See all that, all the yellow? And I should get rid of this album, but I've had it since I was a kid. There you go, it's starting to grow through here. All through here, there you go. See that there? That is toning. And it spreads to your stamps. So I tell you, as soon as the toning comes through, I mean, you can take a $10,000 collection, and if it's been riddled with toning, then basically the person that's buying it off you straight away wouldn't even give you a tenth of it, because the stamps you can't add to a proper collection. Even now, some of these stamps are starting to get toning on them, so they just get thrown out. They're just no good whatsoever. So that's a shame. So look for the toning. Wonder if there's any toning in the other ones. I think I've got rid of most of it, but you'll see it. It's all yellow. And if you have a look at some of the videos I did in the auction catalogues last couple of weeks, you'll see there's like auction videos, and they go through and there's just yellow right through. Whereas what you want to do is just fold it up, toss it away. Right, the third point. There's basically the stamps are all mixed together with no rhyme or reason. So if we have a look through here, this is my daughter's album. You could just imagine someone got left this in the wheel and went, oh my God, these stamps look so old and so wonderful. They must be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, please, if anyone sees one worth thousands and thousands of dollars, let me know. But they're not, they're just basically put together. Like, this is okay. This is all New Zealand. They've been put together. So she's done well here, but I don't know if they're in the right order. Oh yeah, New Zealand. So that's done quite well. Norfolk, Cocos Keeling, yeah, Ireland. Poland. So she's done well, right? Yeah, they're in order. But it's no, you know, at least she's got the trains together and stuff, but there's no, you know, some of these are just mixed up together. But if we have a look at this other album, now all of a sudden you've got these ones, you've got Australia, you've got New Zealand, you've got Rwanda, more Australia, you've got Japanese. So there's no rhyme or reason. So straight away it'd make me think that, you know, oh yeah, that looks great, but they're on the other, you know, on the other page, and then you got Romania, and yeah, it makes no sense whatsoever. And I remember, you know, I think these are my daughters as well. So, you know, I gave her some stamps and she stuck them in where she had a place to put them. And that's no problems. I mean, she was like 4 or 5 years old at the time. But what you got to think, that if you get left an album like this and you think, wow, these are worth all this money. I mean, even these ones here, it'd be better if they're all in a line together, then you knew there was some rhyme and reason by putting them in there. But there's one per line mixed up with other stamps. So straight away you see that this is not a professional collection. This is just a kid's collection and not really worth that much money. I mean, there's a whole heap of blocks and a lot of it is just normal decimal stuff. So the next point, point 4. Are there any early stamps present? So I'm looking through this, and this is a kid's collection, and they're all, by looks of it, decimal stamps, rightio? So they're not pre-decimal, they're not early stamps. I mean, that looks early, but it's a copy of an early stamp, and even the early stamp of that is not worth much. So you could tell straight away that, all right, a lot of this stuff is only worth face value if it's mint. But if it's used, it's worth less than that. And a lot of times you'll go in the catalogue and they're worth either 50 cents or $1. And that doesn't mean the stamp is worth that. It just means that's the handling fee for the stamp dealer to get it and give it to you. So his minimum price is usually $1 and you get 20, 30 stamps and he'll give you a discount. But it's really just a handling fee of him putting in the stock book and carrying it to the fair. But what you're looking for, excuse me, is early stamps. So these here are pre-decimal stamps and they look old and they look like they're worth money. So straight away, by looking at this, you're like, wow, they are old, pre-decimal. So that gives you a hint that they may be worth something. And if they're all together in a nice book, so what you want to do is, you know, the first point, are they in, you know, a Chinese book? Like, you know, you basically want to go, are they in a good book? Yes, tick. No toning? Tick. Right, they got 2 out of 9. The stamps are not mixed together, you know, got some rhyme or reason. So yeah, these are all lined up nicely, so it's got rhyme and reason. Are they early stamps present? Yep, 4, you got 4. And are they in good condition? Yeah, most of these in good condition, excellent. And you work through it that way. Excellent. Rightio, point 5, good condition. Now, looking at this, where could we have a look? So what you want to do is when you're looking at a stamp, you want to know if it's good condition. Are the perforations, the things on the outside, are they good? Are they well centered? Not torn or lost corners? So this is pretty good actually. The perforation, so this is, if it's perfect, it's worth $250, this stamp. Let's zoom in a bit more so you can see that. Can we zoom in? Yeah, there we go. So, this stamp here is mint unhinged, $250, unbelievable. But really, let's have a look at it. Are the perforations good? Well, they're not perfect. See them up the top? They're sort of being worn away. So no, they're not perfect. Is it well centered? Well, see the big margin here, and there's no margin here? No, it's not well centered. Is it torn? No, it's not torn, I know that. Has it lost its corners? Well, it looks a bit funny here, but I know that's fairly normal. But yeah, so we've got 2 out of the 4 there. So it's not really worth $250. You'd be lucky to get 125 because of this and offsetting. So there's something to look at. But no good looking at decimal stamps and trying to compare that. But it helps though. I mean, if you're looking through your Chinese book, you find a whole heap of decimals and they're ripped or torn or missing corners, that gives you another sort of stamp of approval to throw the thing out. But if you've got some old stamps in a good book, they're looking great, and they're missing some of that stuff, well, you know it's not going to be worth the full value in the catalogue. It'd be worth less. But let's see if we can find a better looking stamp. Zoom back out a bit. Where's the best look? All right, this is good. This one here is even better. All nice perfs. Well, we know all the perfs are great because all the perfs are surrounded by selvage, so it's all perfect. Centering's really well done. There's no rips or tears. There's no toning. And there's no lost corners. So that would be worth, and because it's got the blue cancel on it, it's worth $475. I have no hesitation asking $475 for that because it's a superior example of a great booklet sheet. Hope that helps. All right, point 6, are high values present? So what we do is we'll go a bit further on in this Australian collection. So straight away, this is a Sturt sort of stamp. That's what it's called, Sturt Explorer. And there's 2 of them, 1.5D, and you also got the 3D. So you want to make sure you got that blue 3D. Now you're only going to know that once you got your ACSC, but that's what you're sort of trying to look at. Are all these high values? What are the highest value? And that's where this comes in. So 6D, a lot of the time, these 6Ds are missing. You'll always find these 2Ds. Sometimes you'd be lucky to find the 3D, but you won't see the 6. And these OS stamps, you won't see those. And these are all 6Ds, they'll be missing. But probably the biggest thing that you'll see, and I'll just have to move to the bridges. In a lot of Australian collections, you'll find the 2D red. No problems at all. Sometimes you might find the 3D, but this one here, the 5 shilling, always missing. All right. So how are you going to know that? What you want to do is look for the values. 5 shillings. I mean, a lot of the pre-decimal stamps back in the day were usually 2D, 3D, but it's normally 2D on an envelope. So if there's just lots of 2Ds and 3Ds, your collection is not worth that much, rightio? But if there's a lot of higher values, then get excited because those pre-decimal higher values make the collection worth more. And it gives you just a hint. Again, like this one, this 1 shilling, the black. Beautiful, missing from a lot of collections, but it's in this one, fantastic. And that's what you're looking for, all right? Excellent. Point 7, this is I added in for myself, good cancels. Now, basically, a lot of collections only ever, collect one stamp. I collect more than one stamp. I like the mint. I like the the mint unhinged up the top here. I've got the mint very lightly hinged. I've got the cancel to order. You've got the used. I've got the official service, etc. But I also collect socked on the nose. So if you're looking at a collection that you've got and you've been left by your grandfather and stuff, and you've noticed that, oh, they've got 3 stamps exactly the same in a row. Oh, look at this one here, it's a little bit darker or whatever. Well, you could think that he's collecting different shades there. Or look at this, he's collecting cancels as well. So this just shows you the collector, you get some collectors, it's just one of everything, and that's great. But then some collectors might get different variations of the same stamp. So that's what you look out for. Here, I've got 3 miniature sheets. Why? This is mint unhinged. It's got no cancel on it. But this one's here, it's got a blue cancel, and this one's got a red cancel. There's also one with a green cancel I'm looking for. But it just shows it's a more specialist collection, which means to you, if you got left in your will, it's worth more money. And that's what you're trying to look for. you're looking for, you know, more than one stamp, but they've got nicer cancels on them. I mean, like, look here. Look how beautiful that is. Or this here. So you're just trying to look at it. And I mean, anyone can do that. You don't have to collect for a long time to go, wow, they look quite nice. They must have really thought about these things. Wow, look, it's all the same stamp all the way through here, but, you know, they've done that for a reason. There's some beautiful cancels up the top here. Oh yeah, this collection must be worth something. Rightio, so point number 8, annotations next to stamps with references. Now, this is a surefire way of sort of basically saying to people like, hey, look at this, stop. This person has spent some time here and written down the code from the ACSC, which is the Australian the Australian Commonwealth Stamp Catalogue. So it's a specialist album. He's put the reference number there. He's got the year. He's got the perforation. He's got the watermark and the cost. And then he's written something about it. So straight away, you know that someone spent some time to identify these stamps. Now you're thinking it's all the same stamp, but really it's not. I mean, this is a mint unhinged. This is a cancelled to order. This is postally used. This is a darker green, so a different shade. This is the yellow-green version of that. So it's 2 different stamps. One's very light yellow, yellow-green, and that's just green. So that's what you're trying to look in or look for when you find, you know, you get given that collection from your grandfather or your grandparents, or you buy it down at a stamp auction house. Just looking at these points, straight away you can tell if this collection or the collection you're looking at is worth any money whatsoever. All right, final point, point 9. And that is a lot of the same stamps with annotations and what looks like shades, watermarks, or varieties. So, as people would have seen in my latest video before this one, I picked this up off eBay and no one was really interested in it because of the way it was written up. But then I had a look at the first few photos and went, wow. Yes, it was a Chinese album, but there was no toning in it. The stamps weren't affected. They all looked pretty good. But what really drew me down, yeah, they weren't high values, but it was this annotation next to the stamps saying all the different types of varieties. So straight away, I collect KGV. I've got an album. I just know that once they've listed this sort of stuff, these stamps are worth 10 times more than they normally worth if these varieties do exist. Now, I only need 10% of the varieties to stand out to get my money back, so it's well worth the gamble. So if you see this at an auction house, you know, it's worth grabbing because they've spent so much time doing it. Or if you've been left this by your grandparents or someone like that, or your father, then it may be worth a lot of money. So that's it, everybody. I hope those 9 points help out. So we'll go through them again. Look for the type of stamp albums they're stored and displayed in. Rightio, make sure they're not Chinese. Toning throughout the stamp collection. If you see toning, no good, don't want it. Make sure the stamps are not all mixed together with no rhyme or reason. If they're all mixed together, they're probably going to be very cheap. Are they in order by year? Are they country per page? Are the theme of the stamps, you know, they make sense, all the dogs and the cats together. But again, they may not be worth as much as you think. 4, are there any early stamps, pre-decimal? I mean, most decimal stamps are not worth that much. If they're mint, they're worth less than what you paid for them, unless you use them for postage. Unless there's varieties or low issue numbers in those decimal stamps, but hey, you've really got to know your stuff to be able to pick it out of a Chinese album or any album really. 5, are the stamps in good condition? Perforation's good, well centered, not torn, lost corners. That's what you want to look at. High values present? Are all the values, you know, best values missing? Well, how are you going to know? Well, straight away, you want to make sure, you know, they're in a good album. You know, they're all, you know, set out nicely. So, you know, there's rhyme and reason for why they're set out. And they're pre-decimal and they've got good condition. And then you just look at the values. You know, around the pre-decimal area, 2D to 3D, it was what was on envelope. So you want those higher values that we use for parcels and airmail and stuff like that. High value, yep. Good cancels, have a look. Are they pretty stamps? So they've got really nice round socked on the nose cancels. If they have, they may be worth some more. Annotation next to stamps with references. Now, if you got that in there, you know how much they're worth. You know what the reference number is. You know what book to come. and a lot of the same stamps with annotations and what looks like shades, watermarks and varieties. So you might hit the jackpot there, and if you find something like that, you think, wow, look at that, I've told everything. Probably another thing to remember is if you're left a collection by grandfather or parents or whoever, have a look to see if they've got a stamp catalogue with that. If there's a stamp catalogue, that's probably what they've used to set out all the stamps. So a quick little 1 or 2 hours checking the stamp catalogues and comparing them to the stamp collection, you might find out how much they're worth very quickly. I hope that helps everybody. If not, put it in the comments and ask or add some more information and I can do my best to answer. Cheers.